You're listening to The Practical Wealth Show with Curtis May.
Hey guys, welcome to another action-packed episode of The Practical Wealth Show. I have Mr. Dustin Heiner. Let me tell you a little about Dustin. Dustin quit his job, just over broke, when he was 37 years old by investing full-time in real estate. He is the founder of Master Passive Income and Successfully Unemployed. Because he's got a t-shirt as we talk to him. If y'all don't see the video, Successfully Unemployed. I love that. And he's one of the leading real estate rental property managers. Dustin wrote his first book called How to Quit Your Job with Rental Properties. And he quickly became a bestseller. He quickly became a bestseller. And then he's helping others on how to start their real estate property business. So we're going to do a hybrid of that because he talks about so much stuff. I said, Dustin, I don't even know where to start with you. And so we're going to kind of talk about that because I know a lot of our listeners are either in it or all of our people, Dustin, aspire to what I call work optional income. That's what we teach in our planning practice. And that's what we're talking about. And we were just talking in the green room before we got started was, the fastest, because you also talk about creating multiple streams of passive income, how to do online business. So we may touch on a little bit. So it'll definitely be an action-packed show today. But Dustin, first, welcome to the Practical Wealth Show.
Thanks, Curtis. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, my pleasure. And two, so tell them a little bit about your origin story. And as your superhero, you got bit by a spider, and
Awesome. You know what's actually funny? Whenever we go to parties or anything, you get a red cup and they give you a Sharpie and you write the name on there. Usually I write Spider-Man or Superman, like one of the two.
That's funny.
Nobody else.
My two favorite superheroes. Okay.
There you go. Awesome. But no, Chris, I'm super excited. And thank you so much for having me on the show. Yeah. I started investing back in 2006. So 2006, I started investing, buying property after property. But I got to tell you a quick story about how I literally made the switch and the decision to become an investor. Now, I've always been entrepreneurial in my life. And so growing up, I even had a paper route, riding your bike with a newspaper and banging it against the garage door as you're throwing it towards the house.
Right.
And I did that. I also had a graphic website design company. I had a convenience store and a pizzeria, skateboard manufacturing business. So it was always entrepreneurial, but I was always told, go to school, get a job, get a career, and then retire when you're older and that you'll be set up. And I was continually following that, plan, even though I loved business. I love creating businesses. So I was working this is the story. So I was working the county government in California, in the Fresno County is where I was working. I was doing IT, technology work. And my wife and I had, 3, 4, and by the time we had our fourth child, I was working a regular desk job. And when she had her fourth child, I went on to paternity leave. Now, paternity leave, that's where the dad stays home with the mommy, bonds with the baby, changes diapers, all that sort of stuff, about a week or two off. And after that paternity leave, I come back to work. And that same week on a Friday at 3:30 in the afternoon, I get a call from my boss's secretary, like the top dog. I get a call from his secretary. He says, Dustin, would you please come to the office? And I said, sure. And I hung up the phone and I sat there for a second. And I thought to myself, why would they be calling me to the office? Like, this isn't normal. This is weird. And in the back of my mind, I started remembering, wow, like 2 or 3 months before I went on paternity leave, there was some rumors or some rumblings that there was potential layoffs because the department was running low on money. And I immediately shook that off. I've been working for 13, 14 years now. It raises every time. The bosses love me. Everything should be fine. So I get up and I start walking down the hallway to my boss's office. Now, this hallway isn't very long, but every single step I take, the hallway seems to get longer and longer. And my feet feel like, my feet feel like they're lead bricks. Like every step I take gets heavier and heavier because it feels like the weight of the world's starting to come down on me. And as I turn the corner, I see my boss's door. His door is closed. And I see his secretary, and sheepishly, she looks at me and grins and says, Dustin, would you please have a seat? And I go and walk over to the seat, and she's consoling me with her eyes because she knows everything about what's going on. I know nothing about what's going on. As I'm sitting there, it's coming to me that, oh my goodness, this might be the time that I get laid off. And I'm thinking about my 4 kids, and I'm thinking about all this time working in a career to build up a career and eventually retire. Is all this going to be taken out from under me? And as I'm sitting there, I start thinking about my 4 kids and started realizing, how am I going to put food on the table? How am I going to put a roof over their heads? And what does that make me as a father? Does it make me a failure as a father, a failure as a husband, a failure as a man providing for his family? And as I'm sitting there, all this just keeps putting weight and more weight on my shoulders. My hands get all clammy. My forehead gets all sweaty. Just the weight of everything started hitting me. And then the door to my boss's office opens up. And out walks a lady, a coworker of mine, with a piece of paper in her hands. And she's noticeably distraught, noticeably upset, but she's not necessarily crying, but her world has totally been rocked. You could absolutely tell. And my boss says, Dustin, would you please come into my office? Well, lo and behold, I literally get laid off. And remember, this is the government. This is California government. Nobody gets fired or laid off, but I did. And as I'm walking back to my office, I am starting to realize two things. I sit down at my desk, and Curtis, I realize these two things as I'm sitting there. Just got my 2 weeks notice. Number one, I need to make sure this never, ever happens to me again. Yes. And so I started realizing that. And the second thing was, I need to get a job. I need to figure out how to pay for food and all this sort of stuff. So I handled number two very, very quickly. I got on the phone within a week or two. I found another job in the same the county, so another department. So I was really, really blessed to continue to be able to pay for food for my family and live on. But the first thing that I realized was I need to make sure this never happens to me again. And so at that point, literally sitting in my desk right then and there, I told myself, no longer when anybody ever asks me the question, Dustin, what do you do? Because they're basically asking you and asking me, what value do you put on yourself? And I would normally answer, well, I work for IT and the county department. This is what I do. Instead, I said, no longer am I ever going to say that. What I'm going to say is, I am an investor. I already had one property at the time, and it was making me a little bit of money. I knew I wanted to do that, but I just never put forth the effort to do it. Right. I said, from that point forward, I am now an investor. It may so happen that 100% of my money comes from my job, my just over broke job, but that is now my side job. My full-time business, who I am, is an investor. And I'll round up the story by this. I started working at this new department. Great job. Worked there for around 4 or 5 years, 6 years maybe. Eventually, I had property after property, bought property after property, got to 30 plus properties. I realized, my goodness, I was 37 years old. Why am I working here? Even though I'm making $75,000 a year, I can quit. So I went to my boss's office, my new boss, great boss, said, boss, here's your 2 weeks notice. I am done. He says, Dustin, what are you going to do? I said, I don't have to do anything. I literally have real estate. I'm not going to do a thing. And so if you remember that story of me walking down the hallway to my first boss's office, this next walk was so much better. I walked away from my job, and it was about a 1.5 mile walk because I was downtown. I didn't want to pay for parking. Walked 1.5 miles to my car. The last time ever. I've done this thousands of times. I get to my car. I was literally walking on clouds, Curtis, because I realized I will never, ever need to work a just over broke job again because I have all my real estate. So I'll leave that to say, everybody who's listening to this or watching this, what you want to realize, need to realize, your boss is only paying you enough to keep you working without quitting, but not so much that's taking money out of their pocket. So you need to start getting paid for the value that you bring instead of the hour that you work. That's why I created Master Passive Income, so that people can realize there are ways to master getting passive income. You have a river of income and a bunch of streams of income coming in as well. So I'll pause and let you ask questions.
Yeah, listen, one of the things I always tell people, you can get fired for one or two reasons, any reason or no reason at all. Yeah. And right. And I view that as very risky. Okay. The other thing that comes to mind as you said that, security is the ability to produce. So you could create value. So you got a job a week or two later because you knew how to do some stuff. You had some specialized knowledge, but your job, Robert Allen used to say in his book, Creating Wealth, he said, a job is a temporary inconvenience to provide you with the revenue you need to build your thing over here, your 30 properties. Right. And that's the lesson. See, I want you to hear that. One, he has always been doing entrepreneurial stuff, but he had to make a decision that I wasn't going to take this crap anymore. And so there's some lessons right there I want people to hear in that you gotta have. You can't jump. He didn't jump out of a perfect good airplane without a parachute. Take this job and shove it type thing. And but that's what I got out of that. So I want people to hear that story. And the lessons, because, success leaves clues. And so he just gave you all a bunch of clues. So where do you want to go first? So let's talk. Did you do the business first? Because I want to do it in order. Like you started the real estate business first. The real estate business first.
I did the real estate business first. Now, like I said, I have other businesses, but they weren't passive income. They were basically, if you started, delivering newspapers, you have customers. Those
That's
are
active.
your bosses.
Yeah.
I wanted to create passive income. So I realized, my goodness, well, I bought one property, and then in 1 month, I made $318 or something like that from the rent, the positive incomes. Because here's really, in a nutshell, what real estate looks like. You find a property that you are going to know you're going to make money. You calculate all of your expenses. You add all those expenses up, and you make sure you can rent it out for more. Well, that difference there is your passive income. And that, for me, for my first property, the first month was like $318. I said, I didn't do anything. I paid for other people to do the work, and I still made money without working. I need more of these. And so I just kept buying property after property. But so here's the wrong way that I did it. I flew to an area, because I was in California. Remember, in 2006, prices were skyrocketing, and I couldn't get it passive income. So I flew to Ohio, and I bought property in Ohio. This is the way I don't do it anymore, and I would not suggest. But I found a realtor, found a property manager, said, hey, let's put you together and have a property. I did that, and it was wrong. Within 6 months, my property manager started stealing from me. So here's what I teach now. This is what I do, as well as I teach at Master Passive Income, is building the business first. We build the business first before we buy any real estate. And from there, we have a business that now we have properties that make us a minimum. This is what we shoot for, of $250 a month. And Curtis, let me quickly explain now, since I told you the wrong way, I'll quickly tell you the right way to build this business, to do real estate investing successfully. So we build the business first. Let me give you an example of what that looks like. If you're going to start a convenience store, a convenience store is candy bars and sodas and all that sort of stuff. You're going to do that. You're not going to lease a space, open the doors, and put a box of candy bars there on the floor. No, you go out of business in 2 seconds.
Right.
What you would do instead is you would get the gondolas, those shelving units that the candy bars go on, countertops, cold storage, fountain machines, bank accounts, cash registers, employees. You would do all of that before you bought any inventory. Then once everything is set up, then you buy the inventory. Same thing with real estate investing. We build the entire business first. And then once the business is built, we buy our inventory. See, your property is not your business. That one property is not your business. Your business owns inventory, and those are your properties. So every piece of property you buy is another piece of inventory that goes into your business. And let me quickly give you the math of how this works out, how I knew I could quit my job. One property making me $250 a month. That's $3,000 extra dollars a year in passive income. 10 properties, $2,500. Remember, this is the minimum.
Right.
That is $30,000 a year. 20 properties is $5,000 a month without working. That's $60,000 a year. And that's it. You build the business and you scale it up by buying more inventory and putting in your business.
I'm going to just use my financial freedom number, and I need X amount of houses to hit that. And then now you've got here's the inventory I need to, let's say your bills are $5,000 a month and you want 8. That will make you feel comfortable. Like, so if somebody didn't pay rent, you still have a little bit of cushion. Okay.
Absolutely.
Talk about when you say build the business, because a lot of people get caught up. Oh, all right, I started an LLC. So I started my business. Really, you got an EIN number. Doesn't save you money in taxes, but it's a shell, right? It's not a business yet.
An LLC and EIN, but that's not a business.
Yeah, it's not a business. But they think they have a business. I started my LLC. Okay, you don't have a business yet. So when you say you started your business, I want you to tease that out for us a little bit.
Got it. So most people, in fact, majority of the people that teach how to invest in real estate, this is what they'll do. Don't do this, but this is what they do. Find a property, run the numbers, which means calculate your expenses and your income, make sure you're making about $50 to $100 a month in passive income. Then you find a realtor, you buy the property, then you find a contractor, then you fix it up, rehab it up, then you find somebody to rent it, then you find a property manager. In my opinion, that's almost backwards. What we do here at Master Passive Income, what I teach all my students, is we build the business by making sure we have experts literally there on the ground that are going to make sure we're going to do this business right. Like Zillow, Redfin, Realtor.com, like those are not experts. Those are just databases trying to make money off of you. The experts are the ones that are literally there on the ground. So this is what it looks like. When we go to anywhere in the country, and all my students, we literally invest all over the country. We don't even fly there anymore. But what we do is we make sure, this is the step-by-step process. Number one, we look for an area that has inventory, the type of properties that we want to buy, and many types of properties that we want to buy. Certain price point, let's say $100,000. And yes, there are areas of the country, there are houses for $100,000, $80,000, even $60,000. We look for inventory first. Let's say we have a good amount of inventory, and these properties, once we buy them, should make us a minimum of $250 a month. Inventory first. Good. Great. Inventory is there. Pause all inventory, pause getting deals. You'll hear a lot of people say, oh, then I start looking for realtors. Then I start doing, sending out letters. No. Don't do any of that stuff. From there, you pause the idea of looking for properties. Now you know it's a good area. The first thing we do is find our property managers, our contractors, our realtors, our wholesalers, our inspectors, our insurance agents, everybody that's work in your business before you find any properties. And here's the big reason why. Let's say you followed what the quote unquote real estate gurus tell you. Find in property, run the numbers, then, which is the backwards way. And what I'm telling you, what you're going to do is you're going to, by the time you get to the end where you are looking for a property manager, you're going to be pulling your hair out because you are not going to find a good property manager. It's going to be really, really hard. In fact, when you're building the business, the hardest part for all of my students, I have the Real Estate Wealth Builders group coaching where I literally group coach people. I have one-on-one coaching. The hardest part for them is building the business, finding the right property manager. Because in fact, one of my one-on-one coaching students on 2 days ago, I was talking to him. He says, in this one area, and he hasn't bought any properties yet because he's doing it right. He's saying this, I called 11 different property managers. Guess how many called me back in the last 3 days? Only 3 of the 11. Everybody else literally didn't call me back. Now, I said, whoa, man, imagine if you had a property that's literally sucking money out of your bank account because of the mortgage and all the expenses and everything, and you couldn't find a property manager, you don't have a business. So what we do, we build the business by finding all the people in the business first and interview them. We're hiring the right people. We hire slow. We fire fast, which means we take our time when hiring the right people. Once we have that, our experts, and here's a big pro tip, and people don't think about this until they're all of a sudden stuck. We don't buy a property in any area if our property manager who we've already selected and picked as our employee, basically, if they don't sign off on the property saying, this is how much you could rent it for. This is the type of clientele. This is the vacancy factor. And this is how much you could rent it. And yes, I will rent the property. We don't buy the property. We don't. If a property manager is not going to manage it.
Yeah, I like that. It's funny. One of the things we always say, Dustin, is that investing is not about buying something. It's about becoming something, right? And so you're buying the property, but you have to become an investor. Or you have to become, business like investing, because it is a business. Okay, I love that. Okay, I'm proud. I love that because that makes complete sense to me.
Thanks, Curtis. We can keep going there. I love talking about real estate.
Let's talk about I've never heard this approach. I do want to squeeze in another passive income stream, but I like that because what happens is one of the things I teach is we teach principles based planning, and which is save, protect. But principle 4 is liquidity and principle 5 is velocity, right? So you need to build your liquidity. But what I'm hearing is that you could be, while you're building your liquidity, you could be setting up your business for, while you're, so they could be concurrent. So all of a sudden, that's how I connected the dots. So now it's like, okay, you can be learning how to do stuff. So it's not this arbitrary moment. If you've got some money, if you've got access to other people's capital, preferably, or now you can know how to do it, and you're not just taking shots in the dark, blindly hoping to find something.
Here's my options, or give me your opinion when I do one-on-one coaching or anything. They say, should I start saving for investing, saving money? Mm-hmm. Should I start, going through your courses and learn everything? Should I find a property manager? Should I then get finance? Like they think they're all ors, like either or, right. Either or. When it's not that, you should literally be doing everything at the same time.
Exactly. Yes.
Amen, Curtis. Absolutely. Right. Like save.
Yes, everything you said. Yes, business. All concurrently.
Let's say you say, I'm just going to build my business first, but you're not worrying about savings. You have your business built, but you don't have any money to buy, or vice versa. You're only worried about saving money, but you're not building the business. You have
or any money if
and then
somebody doesn't pay that month, or whatever stuff happens, right? So you need liquidity. Most people, the number one problem I see when I work with people, and mostly I work with business owners and real estate investors. So I love this approach. So I teach them not about investing, but about capitalizing. I use the term, you need capital, right? And so for emergencies and for opportunities and for stuff going sideways, I've had people buy turnkeys and they had people messed up the property and she had to have $4,000. It took them 3 months to get somebody in the property.
I don't mess with turnkey companies.
Yeah. Okay. So that's interesting in and of itself. So let's talk about that. Because I thought about that because I'm lazy.
Well, let me give you. So what turnkey companies are basically doing is you are the customer and their product is a product that you want to buy, obviously as a property. But what you're doing is you're buying somebody else's sloppy business. They just found any property manager. They just found any tenant. Because their goal is to sell the property to you, looking like it has a good tenant, looking like it has a good property manager. But you did not build the business. You don't even know if you like the property manager. You want to talk to them on the phone. They might be a horrible person to work with. But see, here's the thing. It is so easy to do all this the right way. And it's late. Like you said, it's a lazy, you're basically getting somebody else's business that they didn't care to actually build. They just found somebody that said their property manager had a pulse. Good. You manage the property, sell it to this person. Check, done. I don't like doing the turnkey. The big reason why, they're making a profit off of you. They're capitalizing on buying the property lower. We're investors. We don't pay full price. We pay lower, just like the turnkey company. So we do everything the turnkey companies do. Let me take that back. We don't do it. We hire other people to do all that work. And on top of that, I love this part. So all the people that are doing the work for me, realtors, property managers, contractors, roofers, like all these people, I don't pay them a dime. This is what it really comes down to. I don't pay my taxes. I don't pay my insurance. I don't pay my mortgage. I don't pay for rehabs. My tenants pay for every bit of that. And so people ask me, well, Dustin, man, it costs a lot for a property manager. I'm like, yes, it does, but I don't care because I'm not paying it. I make sure that when I buy the property, I account for that expense before I buy it. So it's already paid for by the tenant.
And so you help them determine part of building the businesses, looking for where there's good inventory that will cash flow the way you need to based upon your down payment criteria, money or whatever.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So, well, here's what I love to do with all my students. I literally never tell them but I don't say, do this, buy this property, go invest. I don't say that. What I do, if I ever tell them anything, it's don't buy this property. That's the only thing I will tell them. Usually everything else I tell them is, I love the principle, give a man a fish, you'll feed him for a day. Teach them how to fish. They'll fish for a lifetime. I'm not doing this master passive income, all my podcasts, YouTubes, all that stuff. I'm not doing this to necessarily make money, even though all that money that I make, because I have a wife and kids, my wife is saying, if you're going to be giving up all your time, I'd rather just have you be home with us.
Right.
Don't worry about all them. So all that money goes back into real estate. But here's the reason why I do this is there's so many opportunities for people to do this. They just need to realize that they can do it. Now, here's what's interesting, Curtis. I know you definitely appreciate this. I can literally teach anyone how to invest in real estate, but getting themselves over that hurdle to say, yes, I can do it. Like my story in the beginning where I made the decision, I am an investor. I can't do that for them. They have to do it on their own.
Yes.
But once they're there, let's do this. I can literally teach you how to do it.
Starting from scratch.
100%. Even not just real estate, business as well. I'm a business guy. I love business. I just so happen to be a real estate investor as well, because it's one of the best ways to make money.
Right.
And so I teach them not having any knowledge of business or real estate or anything for that matter, from the very beginning to the very end, teaching them every single aspect. And I even done this. I'm like, you know what? I like lists personally. Give me a list of X, Y, and Z. Do 1, 2, and 3, and I get it done. So that's literally how I made my course. I say, do 1, do 2, do 3. Here's your steps. Just literally follow this. And then when you're done, you have a business built.
Let's switch gears. Let's talk about that. So I love the build a business approach to real estate investing, but let's say, for me, like my dad was self-employed, my grandfather was self-employed. So I kind of actualize in business, so when I think about, for me, I feel I can gen up business revenue faster. And then real estate's kind of secondary because I want passive income so I don't have to work. So, because I tell people, look, if you're in business, you want to compress your time frames, get some money so you can buy real estate and other assets. But if you shut the business down, you're still supposed to be financially free. And that's why you have to buy other passive income things. But let's say, we're talking to somebody, they're working, they aspire. And most of the people that I talk to, they aspire to both of those, right? They want a business and they want to own real estate. So now let's talk about what can I do? Because people are saying, I said, look, you need a business, you need to do something. What should I do? So I get this question a lot. What could you do? What can I do? And this is why I do these interviews. Hey, listen to this episode. And here's a thought. And how would you coach somebody on that, thinking about that or things they could do?
I personally love, I absolutely know exactly where you're going, and I have an easy answer. So, number one, everybody has God-given talents, abilities, and desires, passions, all that sort of stuff. We can lean into those. Yes. But what happens is, as we go through life, number one, we go to school. School is just an employee factory. That's literally all it is. Mm-hmm. And so you're just taught, work an hour, get paid an hour. We don't want to do that. We want to get paid over and over and over by working one time. So we need to work at getting out of that mentality of working 1 hour, getting paid an hour. That's active income. We want passive income where we work one time, we get paid over and over again. So here's what most people think when they're going through life. My dad was a teacher. My mom was, worked at this insurance company. Mm-hmm. Okay, those are two options. Mm-hmm. I might meet 2 or 3 other people that have different options, but there are so many ways out there that literally can make you so that you don't have to work a job. Work, like I said, just over broke job. Mm-hmm. There's so many ways to do it. This is the reason why, number one, I created Master Passive Income, the podcast, YouTube, all that stuff, literally to show people how to invest in real estate. But I also, because I have a lot of extra time, and here's another great thing about not working for somebody else, I have so much time to make so many more businesses that help even more people that I created Successfully Unemployed. It's a podcast, a YouTube channel where I literally interview great people like you, Curtis, who've already figured out other ways to do it. I've even had, I interview people on Successfully Unemployed, and I don't ask them, how did you do it? Because I realize whenever I listen to those episodes, my situation is different. I'm not where you are. How do I do it? Tell me the step 1, 2, and 3. So in Successfully Unemployed, I've interviewed a lady that started her own bridal store. I interviewed some guy who has a software company. I've literally interviewed hundreds of people, and they're all different. They're different businesses. Mm-hmm. Everybody listening to this needs to know that there are so many other ways to make money than working a job. You just need to be exposed to those. That's why your podcast is fantastic. That's why Successfully Unemployed is great, because it gives people exposed to all the opportunities out there.
Yeah. And so it's like, what do you, one of the things is like, what money follows value is what we teach people. And you have to create value first, meaning what problem can you solve? What service can you do better? And so you've got to be aware of that. And then what do you do? I had a woman that was talking to, and so I do a lot of cash flow management with clients, right? So she's a project manager. So project managers love Excel, right? And so she had this intricate budget, and I was like, she's moving through this. And I said, do you realize that most small business people are absolutely suck at this stuff, at bookkeeping, and they hate it, right? And so what if could you help somebody with this stuff? What if you had 10 people and you charge them $95 a month?
Absolutely.
You see what I mean? I said, and so I was trying to get her to understand, you don't have to go invent the next whatever, pet rock. I mean, it's like, what do you already know how to do that comes easy 100%. To you that other people find hard? And that's kind of how you build around that. Mm-hmm.
I'll quickly add to that. I am horrible with numbers. That's why I pay accountants. In fact, numbers go into my brain and they flutter away. They literally disappear as I'm thinking about it. That's why real estate's so easy for me, because it's addition and subtraction. I just add up all the expenses. Addition, piece of cake. Then I figure out how much I can rent it for, subtract it. That's my difference. That's my passive income. But I pay so many other people to do work for me, and I make sure my tenants pay for it. The business pays for it.
The pays for it. So talk about I want to go here. Like, starting an online business to retire early.
Oh,
So,
yeah,
because that's let's talk about that for a minute.
So I started investing in real estate, bought property after property. Eventually, I had 30 plus properties, 37 years old, quit my job. And in doing that, friends and family members and just acquaintances come up to me. Well, Dustin, how are you quitting your job? Well, I invest in real estate. I don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
The second question is literally always, can you show me? And so friends and family members, I got dozens of friends and family members, taught them how to do it just because I was wanting to help.
Yeah.
And from there, I realized, okay, this takes a lot of my time, like literally lots of time to teach them one-on-one. There's got to be a better way. So then I wrote a book and I started giving that book out. It's actually if you're watching this video, it's called How to Quit Your Job with Rental Properties. And I would literally just give that to people, say, read this first, because you're going to have great questions. This is going to answer most of them. And then when it's applicable to you, then I can coach you one-on-one, which is now what do I do with my one-on-one coaching.
Right.
So with that book, then I created the podcast. Then I have my YouTube channel, all Master Passive Income, have my articles, coaching, courses, memberships, all that sort of stuff. Then came after I realized, number one, I enjoyed talking about real estate. Number two, people wanted to talk to me about investing in real estate.
Right.
And number three, I can do this to help a lot of people. And you had a great point. The more people that I serve in anything, my real estate business, good properties that people can rent at a lower price than most places, good businesses that teach them something, the more people that I serve, the better my life gets and better other people's lives get. So now every business that I create now is either passive income based or service based.
I love that. I think that you just gotta, so when you pick up his book or if y'all reach out, it's like what you have to do is you just gotta brainstorm. See the book in the Napoleon Hill's book, it's Think and Grow Rich, right? And so, but the emphasis is on think, and having specialized knowledge, so if you don't have any, you got to get some. That's why we always say it's about becoming. What are you becoming? That's what I hear when I talk to you, because it's so many stuff. How to be a blogger, how to be a podcaster. I mean, there's a, it's just the world is full of people, ideas, and money.
Oh, it sure is.
And a good idea doesn't care who has it. And so, when y'all reach out to Dustin, he's just going to kind of pull out what's in you already, right? Yep. And then, if it's real estate, I love that approach because, Rome, this is somehow it's been my new recent favorite saying, Rome wasn't built in a day, because people have this microwave thing going on, and it's nothing sustainable. There are things that you could blow up really fast, but I mean, it's not, I won't say it's not sustainable, but you got to, sometimes you don't know the backstory of these people that blew up, what their 10-year overnight sensation, because they had been working at something else and all of a sudden they blew up, but they've been working at it for 5 years.
You might think they're overnight, but they've been working at this for years. Now, one thing that I love about real estate too, this isn't a get rich quick scheme at all. It's a get wealthy plan. And so like in my background, if you're watching this on video, I literally have my kids on a picture in the background. We went to Grand Canyon and we're having a great time there because I literally don't have to work. We homeschool our kids, so we travel all over the place. But I can and will literally teach my kids how to do this and give these properties to my kids. This is a get wealthy plan with real estate.
Yeah, I love that. So tell them a little bit about how they can, Dustin, find out. You do a bunch of things to help people. Where can they, if they want to follow you or reach out to you, how would they do that?
Yeah, actually, I want anybody to learn this. I have a real estate investing course that I can give away for free. Do you mind if I do that?
No, I don't.
Awesome.
I'm sure my listeners don't either.
I just want people to realize that you can do this. So I'll literally show you where to find property or how to find properties anywhere in the country to invest, build a business, making $250 a month, scaling the business, quitting your job. If you text the word rental, RENTAL, to 33777, rental to 33777, I will literally give that to you. Or you can go to masterpassiveincome.com/free course. It's all one word, /free course. No strings attached. Literally just get it, download it, and read it. And then if it strikes with you, which a lot of people it does, you're going to be realizing, oh my goodness, this is simple. Like, it's not easy, because if it was easy, everybody would do it. But it's just simple. It's just step 1, 2, 3. But then I also have my podcast, Master Passive Income Podcast, Successfully Unemployed Podcast. Both of them are YouTube channels. Just look on both of them. I just want to help as many people as I can. So yeah, it's just great being able to see so many people's. I've taught hundreds and hundreds of students now, and so seeing their lives change. In fact, one quick story. One of my students literally started working with me one-on-one coaching in 2019 of December of 2019, right before the coronavirus happened. And from that point, in 18 months, during the shutdown and during all that, he amassed 22 units, making over $7,000 or $8,000 in 18 months.
Wow.
Now, he definitely is a hard worker. Yeah, he pushed, but it's not uncommon that people can, in 1 to 2 years, get 3, 4, 5, 6 properties and already making $3,000 or $4,000 a month in passive income. So I'd love to help as many people as I can.
I love that. I mean, one of the things I talk to people about is like I don't believe in retirement, right? So retirement means to put out of use, but you want to be able to do what you want to do instead of what you have to. So why couldn't you build, and I like to call it a tangible asset portfolio, where could you buy? So the proper is how can I, not can I, how can I buy 2 properties or 3 properties a year for the next 5 years or 10 years? And
absolutely,
you could amass what might take you $3 million in a 401k to do in a decade or less. That's our whole goal, is to help people become financially free in 10 years or less. And we call it getting to a position in our system of FU, right? So we want to get you to the FU position. So now what I've introduced you guys to is somebody that can give you a map. So you have to, you gotta, in order to get a financial turnaround, you got to decide to turn your life around. And then you need a guide, a mentor. Curtis is your money guide, right? And Dustin is your here is the how you build your business, start the business guide, right? I just get you ready for him. Right? So
awesome.
That's good stuff. Anything, or Dustin, anything I should have asked you or you want to talk about that I didn't bring up?
So I quickly touched on this, or I mentioned this, but this is something that I love to help everybody to realize. So I have lots of streams of income. So I have affiliates, I have sponsorships, I have courses, I have lots of, and I have my real estate, but my real estate is my river of income. Like if everything else shut down, I still have my real estate. But what's great is I have that river. That's where all my money goes. Like I said, all my businesses that I built, all the money goes back into real estate, because that's literally going to be what I pass down to my kids. On top of that, every business that I now built, like you cannot give your just over broke job to your kids.
Yes.
They won't take your kids.
Right.
You can give every business that you built to your kids. And this is what the wealthy have been doing for generations, literally giving it. So what I say is, I want you, everybody realize, build a river of income. You want to get that river, hopefully as much passive as possible. Then you get streams, because once you quit your job, that's 40 plus hours of your life back. Then you can put that into your family. You can put that back into your relationships and building more business. Now, Chris, you're going to appreciate this. I'm going to give you one last thing. There are 4 legacies that in this life we want. So money legacy is number 1. The second one is your time legacy. You want your time back. You want to stop working for other people to have time to do whatever you want. So those 2, money, then time. The third one is relationship legacy. So as soon as you have money, it allows you to have time. Once you have time, it allows you to build in your relationships. So your fourth one is your service legacy. Now, I'm at the point now where I'm blessed to be at 4th legacy. I've got the money, I've got the time, my relationships. I've been 5 years without having a job, developing with my kids. I love it. And my wife. Now I'm serving my church. I'm serving, being on podcasts, literally just giving all this stuff away for free.
Yeah.
And so as people realize, as they go through these, they're going to realize their life gets better once they have that money legacy, then the time legacy, then the relationship, and then the service legacy.
I love that, because money in of itself is not a reason. You need something bigger than you that's going to, because you're going to go through crap setting it up. So you got to have a big vision of what you want for your life. And so you're living your legacy. I have a friend of mine say, live your legacy while you're living. So,
yes.
And so that's the money, the time, the relationships are living your legacy while you're living, and enjoying living the best life you can. And then you can serve and leave multi-generational wealth. It says in the Bible, a wise man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. So
Amen,
that's
brother.
what we're supposed to do. And again, so it's indirectly telling you need to be in business, because you can't leave your job. Well, that's not even the Bible. That's another thing. I was listening to something from Myron Golden. And I may do a talk on that recently, but soon, I think. But oh man, you got my head spinning, Dustin. So we'll have to talk after we end the interview. But listen, thank you so much. You dropped some nuggets, guys. We're gonna put everything he said in the show notes. But right now, if you text, tell them the text thing, because I want them to be able to do this while they're listening to this. Is text?
Yeah, text the word rental,
Rental.
RENTAL, to 33777. 33777. Super easy. I want to make it because I know when I listen to podcasts, I'm like, oh, I don't have time to write down a URL or go to this.
Right.
Just text it. Text the word rental to 33777.
Wow, that's awesome. That is very generous. So make sure you take him up on this. And Dustin, I want to just thank you again for spending some time with us today and blessing our listeners with this brilliance. This is awesome.
Thanks, Curtis. Hey, man, I really appreciate you having me on the show. I just love that you are serving so many people. So I thank you very much.
Doing my best, but now here's the thing. That's why I love podcasts. I get to meet really brilliant people, right? And I have a half page of notes right here just talking to you. So I hope y'all writing this down. I'm doing the interview and I got notes. So go out there, awesome. make it a positive day, guys, and we will see you next week.
Thanks for listening to Practical Wealth. To access the show notes and resources, go to practicalwealthshow.com. To get your questions on the show, go to practicalwealthshow.com. This show is for entertainment purposes only. Before you make any investment decisions, consult a professional. This show is copyrighted by Practical Wealth. Written permission must be